Hello, this is Elaine Wu with the Beryl Consulting Group. Today we're here with Ronnie Sheladiya, founder of Webito Infotech and the technologist building AI and cloud-powered platforms across global markets. Ronnie operates at the intersection of global engineering team and enterprise scale execution, deploying AI systems in real-world environment. Welcome, Ronnie.
Hi, Elaine. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Hey. Okay, so before we dive in, I'd like to briefly set the context for today's conversation. So India is one of the world's fastest growing major economies, driven by a young population, a rapidly expanding middle class, and national scale digital infrastructure. With nearly 2/3 of its population under 35 and consumption-led growth, India is no longer just a growth story, but increasingly a build and execute story, especially in applied AI and platform technologies. With reforms boosting investment in global trade, India is projected to become the third largest global economy by 2030. So Ronnie, thanks for having us. Let's first start at macro level. How do you see India's role evolving in the global AI ecosystem?
India will be a scale enabler for global AI, while the US will lead in frontier models and China in the state-backed deployment. India's advantage lies in applied AI, building, training, and operationalizing models at massive scales. With strong engineering depth, cost efficiency, and real-world data sets, India will power AI implementation globally rather than just model creation.
So building onto that global view, what is it about India specifically that makes its trajectory different from other economies like the US, China, or Germany?
So, India's trajectory is shaped by three factors. First is a young workforce, second is a consumption driven economy, and third, which is a service first growth model. Unlike export led economies, India scales comes from its domestic market, which is around 70% of GDP from consumption, and a hybrid service plus manufacturing path positions it to become a top global consumer economy.
As India scales on the back of those structural advantages, it also runs into some very real system level challenges. So what do you think are the biggest global challenges in scaling advanced technologies like AI, cloud, and automation?
I would say the biggest challenges are integrating this technology at scale, navigating uneven global regulations, managing data fragmentation, and addressing the talent shortage. Companies that design secure, interoperable, and compliant system, not just advanced ones, they will lead.
Very good to hear that. So one other area where these challenges really come into focus is regulation and data governance. So what role will digital sovereignty play in shaping the next era of the global tech regulation?
Great question. So, I would say digital sovereignty is reshaping global tech. Nations now treat data as a strategic asset, driving data localization and AI governance and cloud sovereignty rules. These fragments the digital landscape, forcing companies to design systems that are compliant by default across regions. Trust, privacy, and interoperability will define who scales globally.
So that's the very macro picture. Let's zoom in a little on what it actually looks like when you are building on the ground in emerging market like India. What are the unique constraints or advantages that you think building an AI first company in India will provide?
I would say the constraint is limited access to frontier compute and capital at the earliest stage. The advantage is much bigger: deep engineering talent, frugal innovation, and exposure to complex real world problems. This forces AI companies, specifically in India, to focus on ROI driven, production ready solution, which translates well when entering global markets.
So given those constraints and advantages, what products or workflows will become truly AI native rather than AI assisted?
So, AI native products will be those where AI isn't a feature but the core workflow, like autonomous customer support, predictive healthcare diagnostics, compliance automation in fintech, and adaptive learning in edtech. Industries with high data density and repeatable decision will adopt AI native systems first.
So those product choices that you mentioned before ultimately come down to people on how teams are built and led. So how do you leverage India's engineering talent while building a global competitive team?
So I would say we treat India not as an offshore hub, but as a core innovation engine. Engineering teams own architecture and problem solving, not just execution. Combined with the global product leadership and customer proximity in the US and Europe market, this distributed model delivers both speed and quality.
Given everything happening with AI, automation, and changing business models, what skills do you think leaders should be developing in their teams for the next like 5 to 10 years?
Great question, Elaine. First is AI fluency. Leaders must understand how to use and question AI. Second is compound talent, people who combined domain expertise with data and business judgment. Third is ownership mindset. As AI automates tasks, companies need people who owns outcomes, not just execution.
Yeah, very powerful. So beyond the skills at the team level, leadership itself is actually also being reshaped. What should leaders really focus on in 2026 and beyond?
I would say leaders must move from AI awareness to AI accountability. That means embedding AI into core workflows, putting governance and around the decisions, and enabling employees to work alongside AI. This isn't about tools, it's about redesigning operating models, culture, and value chain around AI as core capability.
That all sounds very compelling at a high level. But in the reality, things tend to get a little messy once you start executing. What lessons have you learned from scaling products from India to the US market?
Technology parity is assumed in the US. Differentiation comes from outcomes, trust, and execution speed. The biggest misconception is that Indian companies are cost driven vendors. The reality is many build world class platforms, but they must reframe positioning around value, not price.
So when you look across different markets and industries, some common patterns start to emerge. What are those that you see from operating in technology, healthcare, ad care, fintech, edtech, fintech, and logistics?
Every industry is converging around the same architecture: data as an infrastructure, AI as the decision engine, and cloud as the backbone. Whether it's healthcare, fintech, logistics, or edtech, the stack is the same. Pattern recognition across sectors is what enables scalable innovation.
So all of that leads to a bigger question about how AI should actually be built. Do you believe that the future belongs to large LLMs or domain-specific models?
Great question. Foundation models will dominate infrastructure, but the real ROI lies in vertical domain tuned AI. Specialized model trained on healthcare, finance, or operations data outperform general models in accuracy, compliance, and cost. Startups win by owning the domain, not the model size.
Healthcare is actually a good place that we see that trade-off in action. The AI in healthcare market is expected to grow at well over 30% annually this decade. From your perspective, where is AI genuinely delivering value today and where is it heading?
Today, AI delivers real value in operational areas, demand forecasting, inventory management, and quality monitoring, not replacing clinicians. The next phase is predictive and preventative care, where interoperable health data enables AI to support diagnostic and personalized treatment. I would say AI will function less as a replacement for clinicians and more as a clinical co pilot.
So we've talked about the broader challenges and patterns. Now let's anchor this into your own journey. Can you tell us how Webito came into existence and what global problem it solves?
Yeah, so Webito was founded on one belief: technology should be a platform, not a one time project. Many companies invest heavily in transformation only to create new legacy system. We focus on building evolving AI and cloud powered platforms that continuously adapt to market changes.
So since your incorporation in 2020, what have been the key milestones for the company in terms of maybe clients, projects, or geographic expansion?
Since 2020, we have grown from cross-border team to a global partner across fintech, healthcare, SaaS, logistics, and education. We have delivered enterprise-grade platforms and large-scale event system used by global institution. One of them is Beryl 𝐈𝐧𝐽𝐿. Most importantly, we have earned trust by owning outcomes, not ours.
So these milestones reflect some of the broader challenges that enterprises are facing today. As they move toward AI-powered cloud-native platforms, where do you see the most urgent problems that still aren't solved well?
The biggest gap is between ambition and execution. Companies want AI powered platform but are stuck with fragmented data and legacy systems. They don't need more tools, they need a coherent backbone. Our role is to quietly stitch data, AI, and workflows into scalable platforms.
So given those challenges, how does Webito approach solving some of them in practice?
At Webito, we sit exactly at the intersection. Global clients, India-based innovation, and AI-first execution. Our focus is building domain-aware, scalable system, not experimental AI. That's why clients see us as partners, not vendors.
Let's say if you had to distill that down to one core differentiator, what is Webito's true edge?
Our edge is pattern recognition across industries. By working across healthcare, fintech, edtech, and SaaS, we reuse architectures, not just code, that allows us to move faster, reduce risk, and deliver AI system that actually scale in production.
So looking ahead to 3 to 5 years, what are your ambitions for Webito and other ventures in your broader entrepreneurial portfolio?
Over the next few years, I see our companies forming a connected innovation ecosystem. Webito becomes a global tech backbone, healthcare moves towards AI-driven intelligence, and our edtech platforms focus on personalized learnings. Alongside this, I'm also building a venture arm to support mission-driven founders and support the startup ecosystem.
Very powerful. One thing that technology people would often mention in this context is digital twins. How will digital twin technology shape the future of global industries and decision making?
So digital twin is, I think, the new topic that is been talked in the organization. So basically, digital twin allows organization to stimulate factories, supply chain, hospitals, or cities before acting in the real world. That reduces risk and speeds decision making. Plus, when combined with AI, IoT, and cloud, digital twins will shift industries from reactive to predictive and eventually autonomous and operations.
So putting this all together, AI in consulting, healthcare, education, and platform building, how do you see the next decade playing out for leaders who are building in this environment?
I would say the next decade is about leverage. Leaders who combine small, empowered teams with strong AI platforms will outperform scale only organization. The differentiators will be clarity of vision, comfort with AI as infrastructure, and the ability to continuously adapt as technology evolves.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. It was a very nice conversation with you. So it is clear that building in India today means navigating real constraints, real scale, and real opportunities. Thank you again for sharing how that plays out from a builder's point of view. And thank you for everyone for tuning in to Beryl Elites.